Okay, so today is September 6th, Thursday, and we are going to do operations on fractions. So we've discussed so far adding, subtracting, and multiplying fractions. We are going to get to dividing fractions on our notes today, so we'll be able to finally have all of the notes for operations on fractions. When we add and subtract fractions, if you do not have a calculator to do the work for you, before you can add or subtract fractions, what do they have to have? Kelly? The same denominator. Good. So what's an easy way that I can find the same denominator? So as Kelly was telling us, the easiest way to get the denominators together is to do what again? Common denominator, and I'm going to do that by what? How do I get a common denominator? What's the easiest way? What can I do with these two numbers? Multiplying. So when I multiply 4 times 5, what do I get? 20. So I'm going to rewrite my new fractions down below. Now, I know that I took 4 times 5 to get 20. So I have to come up with a new numerator for my first fraction here. So what's my new numerator going to be? Kyle. And then put the headphones up. Take your time. You're good. We're just starting the opener. So what's my new numerator going to be? Right there. Hey guys, if I took 4 times 5 to get 20, what do I have to do with this 3? And what's that going to equal? 15. So my new numerator is going to be 15. So I come to my next fraction. I know that I took 5 times 4 to get 20. So if I took 5 times 4 to get 20, I'm going to have to get a new numerator. So I'm also going to multiply these two numbers to get my new numerator. So what's my new numerator going to be here? 12. Good. So once I have a common denominator, I can go ahead and add the numerators, the top number. So if I add my numerators, I'm going to add 15 plus 12, which equals what? 27. And then according to my notes, the denominator stays the same. And then the last step when I add and subtract fractions is to simplify. So if I'm going to simplify, I'm going to think, are both of these numbers divisible by 2? By 3? By 5? Nah. So probably it's going to be in simplest form. Now, when you take your quiz tomorrow, you guys aren't going to have to show me anything but this. Remember? Now, did any of you guys get 1 and 7/20? When you type it into your calculator, you might have got a mixed number. Remember, I want you to change that mixed number to an improper fraction. We change it back to an improper fraction by hitting the second button, the ABC button, and the equal button. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next one. First thing I need to do here, because I'm subtracting fractions, is to find a common denominator. I can do that by simply multiplying my bottom denominators together. So if I take 12 times 8, what does that end up being? 96. Do you all agree? All right, Kelly, you're not allowed to answer any more on this one. Totally different, aren't they, than our 6 hour? 6 hour is blowing you guys out of the water. Sorry, 6 hour. You hear that? You're doing better than my 1st hour. Okay, so if I take 12 times 8 to get 96, I also have to take what number times 8 to get the new numerator? So how do I get my new numerator? There we go. 6 hours are catching up. So what's 5 times 8? 40. Perfect. Okay. Then I knew I took 8 times 12 to get 96. So I'm also going to have to take what two numbers and multiply them together to get my new numerator? Jalen? So how am I going to get this new numerator? Multiply what? This is my new numerator. My top number.
5.
And
8.
5 times?
2. I can't see that.
12. So what's 5 times 12?
I thought it was a 2.
No, that one's in the equal sign. So what's 5 times 12? 60. Good, David. Now, just looking at this, when I subtract 40 minus 60, what kind of answer am I going to have? I think I heard it. When I take 40 minus 60, what kind of answer am I going to have? A negative 20 over?
I have no, I have too many issues right now. I can't walk out right now here.
So, when I subtract the 40 minus 60, you guys told me I ended up with a negative 20. My denominator stays the same, which is going to be 96. Now, I have negative 20 over 96. Can I simplify these two numbers? 20 and 96. Are they both divisible by 2? Are they? Yes. Yeah, they're even numbers. So I'm going to reduce these both by 2. So I'm going to take negative 20 and divide it by 2. When I take negative 20 and I divide it by 2, what do I get?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. When I take 96 and I divide it by 2, what do I get?
41? 48.
40. Are we positive? I knew it was 40 something. Are we sure it's 48? Okay. Now, looking at these numbers again. They're both even numbers once again, right? If they're both even numbers again, what can I simplify them both by? Or reduce them both by? 2. So here we go again. So I'm going to take negative 10 divided by 2. What do I get?
Negative 5.
And then I'm going to take 48 divided by 2. What do I get?
24.
Okay? So again, I'm going to ask myself, are these both negative, or are these both positive numbers? Oh my good Lord. Now my train of thought is just everywhere. Are these both even numbers?
The bottom one is the top one.
So you can't reduce them both by 2, can you? Can you reduce them both by 3? Are they both divisible by 3? Nah. What about by 5? Nope. So this is my final answer, so I'm going to go ahead and box it. All right, next one. When we multiply fractions, we're going to reduce at the beginning so we don't have to worry about simplifying at the end. But when I multiply this one, 12 times 3/4, I have a whole number times a fraction. How can I change a whole number to a fraction? How can I change a whole number to a fraction? How can I change this 12 so that it's a fraction? Put a 1 up under it. That's all I have to do. So if you're looking at your yellow note sheet on multiplying fractions from yesterday, the first step is to simplify any numerator with any denominator. Will you check on him? And if he's still out there, just take him down to Mr. Thompson and tell him we've now spent 21 minutes trying to get him to do what he's supposed to do. So now we have 12 over 1. Can you reduce 12 over 1? Nah, because 1's simplest form. But can you reduce 12 and 4? Yeah, what are they both divisible by? By 2. So what's 12 divided by 2? Anybody? What's 12 divided by 2?
6.
And what's 4 divided by 2?
2.
2. Good. Just let Miss Harris, give those papers back to Miss Harris. Let her know that he doesn't know where the readings are. So we're going to find out what he's supposed to be reading. And then tell Mr. Thompson, I'll talk to him later about what we're going to do about Jeremiah's schedule, because we can't do this every day. Okay, so now we have 6 and 2. So if we have 6 and 2, is that reduced to the final point? No. What are 6 and 2 both divisible by?
3.
No, I can't take 2 divided by 3. 2. So 6 divided by 2 is? 3. And then 2 divided by 2 is? 1. So if it's 1, I know it's in simplest form. So I go to my next numerator. Well, if both of my denominators are 1, I can't reduce that any further. So my next step for multiplying fractions is I'm going to multiply my numerators together. So if I multiply 3 times 3, what do I get? 9. If I multiply 1 times 1, what do I get? 1. Now I want fractions written in simplest form. Is 9 over 1 going to be simplest form? No. How should I write it? What should I do to write this number in simplest form? Is this necessary? Yeah. If I take 9 divided by 1, what do I get? I just get 9. Or I can just look because the 1 is in the denominator, I can drop it. Now, if the 1 is in the numerator, let's say it's 1/9, you can't just get rid of it. But if the 1 is in the denominator, you can just get rid of it. All right, next one. So the last one, and the one that we're going to take notes on here, is division. When you guys were with Carlos and Nimmons, they talked about KFC, right? We talked about keep, flip, and change.
It's like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yep, like Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's going to be our mnemonic device to help us to remember what to do for division. So when we keep, we're going to keep that first fraction the same. Then we're going to flip. We're going to flip this second fraction. So 5/6 is going to become 6/5. And the C stands for change. We're going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Well, now we have a multiplication problem. So I'm going to look at my yellow note sheet, and I'm going to follow those notes to determine how to solve a multiplication problem when dealing with fractions. The first step says to simplify or reduce any numerator with any denominator. So I'm going to look. Can I reduce this 2 and this 3? Can those be simplified? 2 and 3? Nah. What about 2 and 5? No. So then I go to my 6. Can I reduce this numerator with this denominator, 6 and 5? No. What about the 6 and 3? Yeah, what are they both divisible by? Not by 2. 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. All right? Now, we already know that we can't reduce any further, so I move to my next step. Step 2 says multiply your numerators. So when we multiply our numerators together, we take 2 times 2. What's 2 times 2? And then I multiply my denominators together, which equals 5. Now, since I simplified at the beginning, I don't have to worry about step 4. I don't have to simplify at the end. So box your answer, put your name on the opener, and we finally made it.